After 4 games played in the Premier League, it might be a bit foolhardy to make too many judgments, but one look at the table will tell you where the form is, and it's certainly between Liverpool and Manchester City. Any surprises for you, Paul, and what we've seen so far?
Yeah, just a little bit. I mean, obviously, status quo with Liverpool and Manchester, they'll be battling all the way through to the end of the season. I think Leicester City, I think most people thought that they would do well, but they're Vardy scoring goals and they're looking as though they're a very well balanced side. A little bit surprised about Chelsea. I didn't think they would be so low. I think you've got to take your hat off to Sheffield United. I mean, they're a very difficult side to break. They play with tremendous spirit. Manchester United are a little bit. They're not quite there just yet. You know, they're huffing and puffing. I like the kid James. I think he's a very, very bright spark. And in the background, people are talking about this kid Greenwood, who seems to be somebody to look forward to. But no great surprises really as far as the Premier League is concerned at the top half.
Yeah. What about individually? Some of the performances we've seen in the opening 4 games. Any players stand out for you?
Well, it's as you were, really. I mean, Sterling, Aguero, De Bruyne. You look at Van Dijk. Firmino for me is my favourite target man. I mean, what he does, his movement when he comes off and knits the play together, I think he's just sensational footballer. So nothing new about that. But I like the look of Mount at Chelsea. I think he's quite an exciting prospect. We mentioned James. I think some of the goals he scored. You've got to be careful that he's predominantly a right-footed player, and when you show him on his right foot, then he puts the ball in the back of the net. So I'm sure defenders will learn quickly. But he's got great pace, he's got a great appetite for the game. So he's somebody that I'll be looking forward to watching for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and as we take a look at the bottom half of the standings so far, a couple of teams in there that you might not expect to see. Chelsea topping it, of course. You mentioned Mount. Abraham's got himself a few goals as well. And they, I mean, there's only 2 teams who haven't won. Wolves have been criticised for not getting a victory so far. They had a couple of tough draws. Leicester and Manchester United, they've taken points off them. And down in the bottom 3, Watford at the bottom of the table, though they got a point against Newcastle.
Yeah, Wolves are a little bit of a surprise. Like everybody, the manager's not buying this. That it's because of the fixtures and the Europa League and all this sort of stuff. But it does take a toll. It may take a toll on his players psychologically. That's a bit of a surprise to me. Brighton started well, and then all of a sudden they just sort of, find themselves struggle a little bit. I think most of those sides are going to be there or thereabouts at the end of the season. It's going to be such a battle. As I said earlier, Sheffield United have really started very, very well. I put them as a banker to go back down, but. The cream is rising to the top as per usual. What I admire about the likes of Van Dijk and Aguero, De Bruyne, players of this ilk, is the unbelievable consistency. Year after year, you know exactly what they're about. You know exactly what moves they've got, what's the strongest foot. All those things. Nowadays you get scouted up the wazoo, but they keep producing, and it is quite remarkable that they're able to do that.
Just put us in the mindset of the players at this time of year, just a few games in. Have you already worked out if you're going to struggle all year? Do you feel, if you haven't got the results so far, do you feel like they might not come so easily before Christmas? Or do you, and if you had a good start to the season, do you feel like we're flying now? We can.
Well, there's most certainly when you're flying, the confidence grows within the camp. There's no two ways about that. Some players point to the fact, well, I don't do so good when it's hot weather. I like it when it's raining and cold, all that sort of stuff. But there are alarm bells will be ringing, especially in the boardrooms, very, very early. It's just a fact of football life. So even though it's only 4 games in, there's still huge question marks, and the managers and owners will be looking at the window in January and say, what can we do about it? Because nobody wants to go out of the Premier League.
Right, well, we've got a cooling off week now to see if any of those alarm bells stop ringing. I'm sure they won't when we're back at the action in a couple of weeks' time with the international break having gone away. But as it stands, it's as you were at the top of the table, although it's Liverpool leading the way, not Manchester City so far.